office is she in?
I hate to cut you off, but we're just hearing from our producers that this woman is in custody at this point. She has been taken into custody. It's not clear where, but Atlanta police is saying that this woman has been taken into custody. We're going to work to get those new details about where she was taken into custody. But again, this woman has been taken into custody. And if you're just joining us, we understand that one person has been killed in this triple shooting in Midtown Atlanta. We know 2 people were taken to the hospital. This all beginning around 1:45 this afternoon, with police responding to not one but 2 locations of shooting calls, one in the 1200 block of West Peachtree Street and then on the 1100 block of Peachtree Street, which explains why there was such a wide perimeter that police have been shutting down in that Midtown area, asking people to shelter in place and avoid the area as they work this active situation. So again, 3 people shot, 1 person has died, 2 taken to the hospital for treatment with their conditions unknown. That last shot being fired around 2:15, according to police. Now, as we do know that this woman has been taken into custody, and again, we're working to get more information about how she was taken into custody, where she was taken into custody. Here's some other information that police are going to be searching for as they continue to investigate. They say that they don't have information right now on what led to these shootings. They don't know if there was a connection or what the connection was between those 2 locations in the 1200 block of West Peachtree and the 1100 block of Peachtree Street. They don't know the connection there. They're also working to figure out if the victims were actually targeted or if they were shot randomly or if maybe some were targeted and others were shot randomly. They don't know that. But again, police have taken this woman into custody at this hour 4:18 and this all beginning to unfold around 1:45 this afternoon.
Yeah, and there's no silver lining in this and them apprehending the suspect. But the next question is, why? What was the motive? Why did you allegedly shoot these 3 people? And unfortunately, 1 person is dead. So now that has been resolved as far as taking someone into custody, now the investigation begins as to why. And not only as to why, but you have to think about the other 2 suspects. We don't know, or the other 2 victims, other 2 victims, I misspoke there. We don't know the condition of these other 2 victims. You know, how badly were they injured? We even spoke with a mom about a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago, Tamisha Steed, who says that her daughter was shot at. And at this point, she says after speaking with her daughter was so shaken by the entire situation, you know, going from calm to someone shooting at you. We don't know the motive behind shooting at Tamisha Steed's daughter as well. But the good news with that situation, Tamisha Steed's daughter was not hurt.
And she said that this was happening at what she called an upscale condominium building in Midtown in Atlanta. And we know that there are several buildings like that, in addition to so many office spaces, restaurants, so many things in that busy area of Midtown. So that was why it was so important for police to have an area to work and investigate as they searched for this woman, to make sure that they could remain as safe as possible for themselves and keep the public safe by not coming into that perimeter that they were trying to establish. Let's show you another look at the woman that police, we understand, do have in custody now. Again, this follows a triple shooting in Midtown at multiple locations, and unfortunately we know that 1 person has died in all of this.
And just think about this. Crash Clark pointed this out. Here it is, 4:20 right now. Folks are going to be leaving out of those parking garages, trying to get out on the street onto 14th Street, Peachtree Street, trying to make their way to 75, maybe snake their way up to 400, trying to get home. It's going to be a traffic nightmare. It just absolutely is going to be a mess, no matter how you paint the picture. It's going to be difficult. So if you're in that area, if you live in or you live or work in that area, you got to pack your patience before you head out onto the street, because it's going to be very difficult as they continue to investigate.
And we want the officers and the law enforcement to be able to find whatever information they need to solve this, because now that this woman has been taken into custody, there are, as you mentioned, so many questions about why, and people will want that to unfold. So again, we know this situation began, that call coming in around 1:45. Here it is, 4:21, and this woman is in custody after this triple shooting in Midtown Atlanta.
And usually, so in this situation, so they have this suspect, allegedly she's already been captured, right? She's been arrested. They have her in custody. So you would think, well, okay, officers, you guys need to break everything down and just head back to wherever you need to go. But it doesn't happen that quickly. They still have to debrief each other. So they have to debrief APD to make sure that there's no other suspects or any other witnesses. They also still have to canvass the area to look for any potential victims out there to make sure that there are no more victims. So that's why the traffic is going to be a nightmare, possibly for the next couple of hours, because they don't just stand down and take off. Those officers are still there investigating, even though they have this young lady in custody.
And again, also potential witnesses that might have been out there, any evidence that they may have been able to collect from that area as well. A live look right now at Peachtree Street and 14th Street. Just a couple hours ago, this area was locked down with law enforcement vehicles up and down both sides of the street, no vehicle traffic. But again, we can see that traffic has resumed. We see the regular everyday vehicles that are now able to make their way through this particular area of Midtown.
And, you know, you pointed something out that's really important as far as speaking with witnesses. So now they have to build a case against this young lady. They have to find shell casings that may have dropped to the ground that may match the gun that she allegedly used in this shooting. They have to be able to contain all of that evidence. And as you pointed out, Jennifer, they have to speak with every single witness. There could have been 20, 30, 40 witnesses. They must get statements from each and every one so they can paint a clear picture of what took place. Because when this investigation is all wrapped up into a little package, they then have to present it to the district attorney's office for them to move forward from there, to know exactly what charges they may bring against this young lady, whether it's malice murder, whether it's assault with a deadly weapon or aggravated assault. They have to piece everything together, and that's the reason why those officers are still there talking to witnesses, gathering information or evidence as well.
Yeah, it's not just a snap thing.
No.
A lot of times nowadays we want that to be the case. We want it, it's over, we're back to normal. But again, there are things that still need to happen and take place in order to progress this investigation, because there will be things that follow the police investigation in terms of court proceedings and things, and so law enforcement have to have their eyes and their I's dotted and their T's crossed to make sure that those things proceed as they should as well.
Absolutely, because then if you contaminate the evidence, so to speak, you contaminate the evidence that you are collecting, by the time you get to court, whoever may be representing this young lady, if she doesn't strike a plea deal or whatever transpires from there, if everything is not buttoned up tightly, then it can end up jeopardizing the case. So that's why it's a slow, methodical process in talking with the witnesses and gathering evidence. And I know Crash Clark has been monitoring the traffic. I don't even know if we have him available right now. So we're going to try to bring Crash back, but I can just imagine, here it is, 4:24 in the afternoon, Midtown Atlanta. Folks are trying to get out of the area that would have probably left a couple of hours ago, but they can't.
Or get home to this area.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
There are a lot of condominiums and apartments nearby that location as well. And these do appear to be surveillance images that police released of this person who we understand, again, is now in custody. And that's why some of those cameras can be so important and critical in these investigations and these situations, because police were able to get this image out very quickly to help with this investigation. And no sooner than we got this image, we got word that the person, this woman here, was in custody.
And what's so important here is APD or whatever agency, they're able to get this picture, get it out to the media immediately so that they can begin to zero in on the suspect. So if she would have gone outside of the perimeter of what they were holding there, if she went outside of the crime scene, at least we would have known who she was, or at least have an idea of who she was and what she's wearing.
And that can be so critical, because this is a distinct top that this woman had on, is not just a basic black tee. So having this would likely be very helpful for law enforcement as they were working to apprehend this woman. Again, 3 people shot, 1 person dead, and the story still is developing as we are waiting on police to give us additional information in detail.